Hello everyone, it is Jazz here, and today I am doing the book combo tag. This is a tag that was created by Jessie the Reader, and it is basically about merging different book things together and what our thoughts on what that would be like would be. Some of you who have followed me for a real super long time are probably thinking, Jazz, didn't you do this video already? And yes, I did do this tag already, but I'm redoing it for two reasons. One is because when I filmed it the first time, my camera was on some weird setting, and thus I am blue for a portion of the video, which is just like, no. And secondly, I thought about some of my answers, and I think now I can actually come up with some different and perhaps even better answers. So, enough said, let's go on with the questions. Question 1. What are two authors that you would like to see combine their writing talents together to create one novel? I am still very committed to wanting to see Neil Gaiman and Stephen King write one novel together. I think it would be like a deliciously disturbing book with possibly a lot of cool characters and a really great plot arc. It would probably be super long, but like really good in its super longness. And somehow I get in my head and theorize that a book that they wrote together would be sort of something like the book War of the Flowers by Tad Williams, because that book sort of reminded me of both of their like kind of styles. So like maybe Tad Williams, Stephen King, and Neil Gaiman should write a novel together. That would be even more cool. Let's make this happen. Number 2, what is your favorite author collaboration? Either a collection of short fiction by different authors or a book that was just written by two different authors. One of my favorite short story collections that I really enjoyed was Half Human, which is a collection of stories by a whole bunch of different authors, and it is all about creatures that are half human. But a book series that is written by two authors that I have read 2 books of and really loved is the Peter and the Starcatchers series by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson. And I've never read any book that either of these authors has individually written, but I have read these first 2 books in the series, and it is just flippin' awesome. Number 3, if you could combine 2 books and make them one book of their own, what would the 2 books be and what would the reworked title be? I have one answer from my old video for this and a new answer for this. So my old one is, of course, Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia being one book just as its own, because that would be super cool. I really do particularly love the idea of the Pevensie siblings running around in Middle Earth and like helping destroy the ring for some reason, or some kind of plot line of that nature. And also I do think that Lucy and the hobbits would get along so very well. And I say this even though I heard somewhere, I think in some documentary or somewhere, that Tolkien and C.S. Lewis did not particularly like each other's works of fiction. I don't know if that's true, but I guess that proves you can still be friends with someone and disagree with some of their points of view. But despite all this, I still think that it would be a really good mashup book that I have entitled The Ring Chronicles. Another little book mashup that I thought of was to mash up the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare and the Parasol Protectorate series by Gail Carriger. Now, I haven't finished the Infernal Devices series, but while I was reading the second book, I came up with this idea, probably because I was reading the last book of the Parasol Protectorate book at the same time. They are both paranormal steampunk books, so they have a similar sort of setting in terms of genre. But I kept thinking while reading Clockwork Prince that Henry really would get along well with the little inventor peeps in the Parasol Protectorate group, and maybe they would understand him more than some of the Infernal Devices peeps, even though they love him. Clockwork Prince introduced Woolsey Scott, who would get along so swimmingly with Lord Alkeldama from Parasol Protectorate, and they would just talk about fashion all the time. I feel like occasionally, like, the Infernal Devices peeps could use some Parasol Protectorate's humor. They have a healthy dose of sarcasm, but they could use that weird Parasol Protectorate humor just occasionally. We'll see if I still think these two series should cross over when I finish Infernal Devices, but I am definitely into the idea right now. I don't know what I would title this series crossover. Like, if it leaned more of the Parasol Protectorate route, it would be called something like Runes and Parasols. But if it leaned more of the Infernal Devices direction, it would be called something like the Shadowhunter Protectorate. Number 4 is, what two characters from different books do you ship? I thought since Jesse and the original tag decided to create a ship between two villains, that I would take the opportunity to cite my favorite villain ship. I'm not sure how bookish this ship is, because one character is from a TV show and the other one is from movies/comics. They are characters from Norse mythology and Arthurian legend, which is featured in books. I do genuinely ship Morgana from Merlin and Loki from Thor. I mean, I don't know how this ship started happening in my mind and why I started loving it, but I think it was a lot of crossover fan videos, and B, the fact that there's just so many parallels between the two characters. They both have some parental issues and a half-sibling or adoptive sibling that they just can't seem to live up to because that sibling is just such a golden boy. And they both have magical powers. They are also both fond of the colors black and green, which leads me to say to fictional people, like, if your fictional adoptive / half sibling starts wearing a lot of black and green, you probably should watch your back. I do ship it really hard. Like, maybe if they got together before insanity ensues, like, they would save each other and not be a match made in evil. I don't know. That's a lot of magical powers between them. Like, they could dominate the world. Maybe I shouldn't ship it, but they look so good together, I just can't help it. Number 5, what are two bookish worlds you would like to see combine and be one big great book world? I thought it would be cool if the world of Sherlock Holmes with a lot of investigation and mystery combined with something like Looking Glass Wars by Frank Brador and that trilogy, like something where there's an investigative cool element and we like search out stuff and have cool boat chases like in Sherlock Holmes, but also magic and cool machinery exist like in Looking Glass Wars. Investigative magical steampunk. I can see it and it makes me happy. Number 6 is, what duology, trilogy, or series would you like to have seen as just one big book? The Fearless books, I think they were by Francine Pascal. I really loved the idea of these books and the premise, and I did really enjoy the characters and what was going on in the few books of this that I read. When I was young, we had like a few series that were like serial novels where there were just like a whole ton of books in the series. Like it came out kind of like episodes of a TV show in like installments. So there are like 36 books in the series because it is like a serialized kind of sci-fi drama. That would have been super uber cool as like a TV show, but it did not work in a book series for me because after a while I felt like some of the arcs of the characters were just being purposely dragged out so that we could continue writing books in the series, and that got on my freaking nerves. So even though I really want to know what happens in the Fearless novels, I had to, after a while, just stop reading because that was like making me nuts. What I really wish is that the Fearless novels were like a trilogy of fairly medium large books that kind of cut out some stuff that didn't really need to be there, that was like just dragging on, and got to the point and told me what happened in the bigger scheme of that action-y semi-sci-fi plotline. because that would make me uber happy, and then I would know what happens in this book series. I'm sure I could go on the internet and just read it, but there's part of me that sort of thinks that someday I'll make it through all those 50 bajillion books. It's never gonna happen, but I like to dream that it might. So those were my answers for the book combo tag. The remix, because this tag is something like 2 years old almost, I'm just gonna tag whoever wants to do this tag and thinks it's fun. That is all for today, and I will see you all on Thursday. Thank you for watching. Bye!